What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Second Avenue Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Linares.
I'm your other host, Elijah Venencia. If you're not watching on YouTube, get to YouTube and watch if you haven't seen it yet.
This is one of the ones.
If this is the shortest my hair's been in a minute, I had a few people. It was Jonathan, Kevin, I can't remember who else. I had one more person as well. They said this is the QB1 cut. So if you knew me senior year, this is how it's going. This is how it's rocking. I got a head start on it. Obviously they're gonna buzz it again when I get to basic training, but I was like, I haven't had short hair in almost like 5 years now. So
Unk now.
Yeah, it was time. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see which direction I go afterwards. I kind of like it.
I like it.
Yeah. I don't know if I like it more, but shit.
I like it. I'm all for the short hair. It is the QB1 vibes. You got to put the Letterman jacket on again.
I mean, shit. I brought that bitch in the car. I got that bitch on me at all times.
You did basic. Yeah, you just got to let them know who QB1 really is. Yeah, I love it. It is definitely a throwback vibe. Like when I saw you with that hair, I was like, this is
the best part about I didn't tell no one. I was like,
yeah, I had no idea. And I just saw it.
Yeah. I texted Brennan. I was like, Brennan, I need to tell someone. I was like, I'm about to buzz my fucking hair, bro.
Yeah, he gets it more than anybody else.
I hadn't got a haircut in a minute. So like it was.
And it was just crazy because I hadn't seen you in real life in like a week, I guess now. And so now being able to come back, I'm like, oh, it's a big switch up. But I mean, you had this hair at one point before, so like it is.
Yeah, and I mean, like I'm not rocking no 5 head, nothing like that.
Yeah.
I have a good hairline, so I could really pull it off.
Yeah, you can. I don't know if I could.
It just was. I don't, like you said, I've had this haircut before, so it's like
I've always had the same. I just
like literally
little
swoop to the side,
little swoop, and it's not even like I put product in it. This is just how it sits. So
like, and that's been literally his entire
since birth. Yeah,
since birth,
I came out the womb with this haircut. But yeah, obviously, if you didn't tune in last week, you missed a big announcement. But the podcast is coming to a hiatus. Yeah. See, we're in agreement there. I was not going to say an end.
It's over.
It is not over. It's just taking a break, and we had an episode that felt like if it was going to be an end, there was one that we wanted to do, and that's coming next week. But we got to.
It's not the Kanye album ranking.
It's not the Kanye album ranking. That's never going to come. We're going to be honest. That is just going to be like lore for the real ones. So for the comeback,
and
maybe we'll just never mention it when we come back. And so only the real ones who were here for the first iteration of the pod know that the ranking was about to happen 5 different times and never did. I like getting that question in real life. If you see me in real life, you can ask me that question. I'll tell you. People ask me that in real life. Shout out to whoever I'm talking about that. That's a great conversation topic. So maybe we save that for real life. But yeah, this episode felt right for the closing of the first iteration of the podcast.
Yeah, for
phase one. And that is our favorite outros of all time. This is like the outro for the first iteration of the pod, and it feels like it's going to close things up nicely, just like, outro on an album does.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about outros. Just as a whole, what do you look for in a good outro?
It's just gotta, I think it has to kind of feel like the ending of the album. I mean, obviously the ending of the album, but like it kind of has to reflect that whole out. Like you can't just fucking have a fucking
you just can't
Devil in a New Dress, outro or something like that. Like it's got to be very specific. It's kind of, I think it feels like it almost has to run with the title as well, something like that there. So I mean, there's a lot of things that go into it, and I feel like once you hit that right outro, it's I feel like a lot of times intros and outros they're usually done well, especially on better albums, of course. So
they're like some of my favorite songs of all time are intros and outros. And I think outros, there's something to be said about a really great outro that ties everything together, or at least like leaves you feeling something. I don't want a song just to be done and the album's done.
Don't end on sicko mode.
Yeah, you cannot end on sicko mode. You got to end on something that ties it together. And it gives you a feeling. It leaves you kind of wanting more in the next album. And I think you got to have that. You can't just end a song. Like, I was kind of just going through a bunch of albums, and I was like looking to see, okay, what's the outro here? Like for some, I don't, know. And I was like looking at just random ones. I looked at like Life's a Trip by Trippie Redd, and I'm like, if Taking a Walk was like an outro, okay, maybe I give it a thought. but it's just like a random song I've never heard before. And I'm just like, I wonder if that's the best outro that album could have been. And kind of thought that for a lot of these different albums. I kind of narrowed my list to like 15, 20 songs.
It's crazy. I probably looked at 7 or 8 albums.
I was
very like dialed in on this.
I was basically there instantly, but there were a few that I was like, okay, I didn't remember that was an outro. Like, my honorable mentions. Let's just get into them now. These are gonna be the ones I just didn't know were outros. Rainbow by Casey Musgraves, I didn't remember that was the outro, which is a great one. Love that one. That was actually really the biggest one that I was like, okay, I didn't know that was an outro, and like kind of considered it. All the rest of these definitely have the outro feel, but I'm gonna give my quick honorable mentions. This one doesn't tie together the album as much, but it like gets you ready for the next one. That's Brockhampton with Summer. I love when Brockhampton did the 4-letter, 5-letter, 6-letter titles. So Saturation 2, all 5 letters. Then you get Summer with 6 letters, kind of getting you ready for Saturation 3. One other one I got to give some love, Heaven All Around Me by Saba. I think that one ties together the album, arguably maybe better than some of the ones I picked, but I picked some more favorites. So I'm going to go with those. And I got a few more, but
all right, we'll say them. I hate the honorable mentions.
I know. I'm gonna keep them internalized. So let's get into it.
All right. So I feel like you told me before the episode started you could guess one, and I looked at rap. I guess we got Last Call.
It's Last Call. Yeah. Okay.
So like, this is perfect. Literally fucking perfect. Like, I love this song so much. I mean, you can almost throw it on anywhere. I don't think really in the club, but like this. But this is one where it perfectly encapsulates the college dropout, and then you have him just rambling on for over half the song, and I'll even listen to that. Like, I'd like to propose a toast. Like, and you started off like that, and fucking just.
It's a great song. I really kind of slept on it until you brought it back up a couple months ago, and now I've been listening to it way, way more. But what a great outro! It really is one of those, and I think it's one that kind of like set a certain mold of outros for future people to be inspired by. What a great close to the college dropout, kind of just a look at Ye and everything going on. And one song that it makes me think of, I don't know, just kind of the, I guess, look at everything that I crossed my mind but didn't go with was There's a Lot Going On by Vic Mensa. I don't know why, but I kind of put those two together for whatever reason, just kind of like, you got Vic talking about like signing to the rock or signing to good music and all these different things going on in his personal life and whatever. I feel the same about Last Call. You have Logic, Last Call. I was like looking at some different playlists of outros, and that was in a couple. But yeah, obviously Last Call, what an iconic
it's outro. Like this is the outro, I feel like, for me.
It was in my like short list, but I'm not gonna have it in my 5 today. I have one Kanye one though. Kanye has a lot of good outros. Saint Pablo I considered. Saint Pablo
was like
Violent Crimes I considered.
Yeah, he does it.
He knows how to put an album together, especially for the ones that are cohesive, great albums. And the one I'm going with, it's not my favorite song out of all those, but I think it ties the album together so well, and that's Pinocchio Story.
Okay, I like that.
I love Pinocchio Story so much. I would think way more than the average fan of the song, but
yeah, he does this Pinocchio Story.
I do this Pinocchio Story shit. But yeah, I love Pinocchio Story. I think it's unique that you get the live version instead of just studio recording.
I like
and I think because of that, it's not as perfect. It's not as polished as a lot of songs. You get the raw emotion in Kanye's voice when he's talking about going through like the loss of his mom, and that whole album is just 808s and Heartbreak is one of the most influential albums
for sure.
Not to give anything away for the Kanye ranking, that's not going to happen, but it is so influential as far as rappers rapping about their emotions, and I think this song is one of the ones that does it the best.
Yeah, and I mean, like, carryover effect of that, of like, you're not at first, so you go to Last Call, fucking they're rapping Slinging Birds, fucking rock, into what rap is today. I feel like it is definitely pivotal in what rap is today for sure. So,
but yeah, it's almost like Kanye like feels guilty that his mom died because of the complications with plastic surgery and all that, because of his choice to move to LA and become huge in this lifestyle. But all these different lines, like they say Kanye keeps a real boy and all he wants to be is a real boy. Like he just wants to get his Geppetto back, his mom back. She was there to guide him. It is just crazy, and it's so interesting that it's performed in foreign country, right?
Okay.
And so the crowd is like cheering for this song.
Yeah.
And like the language barrier, like I almost feel like I wonder if that's a thing. Like they don't even like recognize what he's saying because it's like if you heard what he was saying, or they're hearing what he's saying, they're not listening to what he's saying because you would not be cheering for that. That would be like dead silent, like people crying. Yeah. And so I kind of love that. Like it adds like some sort of level of contrast to like what he's saying. And I think it's amazing. So not my favorite Kanye song that's an outro, but I think it's my favorite Kanye outro for the purpose of an outro.
Respect that. Moving on, for this is my 2022 number 2 album of the year. It was a front runner all year pretty much, but we got The Blues by Vince Staples. And so it just phenomenal track, but my favorite part about this is it loops back into the beach.
Oh yeah.
So that's like, you know, thanks for taking this ride with the LeBron. Thanks for taking this ride.
Let's give you FOMO.
I'll give you another 12. Yeah. Run it back. Give you 12 more.
Yeah.
You know, just perfectly done though. And I mean, just like Vince Staples, the project is a great project, but Ramona Park Broke My Heart is just on another fucking level. Like for stuff like that, for songs like The Blues, pretty introspective and just, I mean, such a great project. And then just ending it that way, man. So fucking fire.
I love that outro, especially because it's the loop on such a short project.
Yes.
Like that just really makes you just want to keep listening to it, adds the replay value, really ties it together. Summertime by Vince crossed my mind. That was a weird one to get into. I love that, and it was gonna make it, but it's like that album is split into like 2 parts, like Summertime 06. So I didn't want to go with it for any whatever confusing reasons. So anyway, let's get my next one here. I got Riot by Earl Sweatshirt. Full instrumental track, but it's one of those that it sounds like oddly optimistic when the whole album is like, so again, it's an emotional one about like the loss of his dad. And so it's kind of the same as the Kanye, I guess, but this is a little bit different way to close it up. Just there's something so unique about the instrumental, like you could listen to it wherever.
And you almost like, it's like one of the ones where it's like it's an instrumental, but you're putting words with it or whatever, you know. It's saying something. There we go.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. I love it. It like blew up on TikTok randomly too, which is kind of crazy. It's like probably, I think it is Earl's most listened to song on Spotify, which is insane because it's no words, but it's such a great way to close the album. Just really kind of like, you know, after everything was said, it lets you think for a minute, which I think is cool. Another one that does that well is Enjoy It Today Right Now by Tyler off Flower Boy, but Riot, that's the one that is definitely belonging in my top 5.
Like almost Runaway-esque. Like you hear Runaway and then you just fucking sit there and just hear Mike Dean go fucking nuts. You're like, God damn, what did I just hear? Like you're kind of, you know, just phenomenal.
That's how I feel about I Wonder too. Like Kanye's going crazy and then you just get the beat playing for like, wow, probably.
And I enjoy it.
I love it. Yeah, great song. So
for my next one here, we have Till Further Notice by Travis Scott.
Newer one. Okay.
It's the James Blake, and he ends it with the where we go now that you're done with me. Like that is just on repeat throughout the whole track to finish it that way. And I don't think it encapsulates the album. That, I mean, not complete. It's a really hard album because there's just so many different directions it goes. But it is such a great outro track for the James Blake part. And then, you know, just a great song. 21 Savage gives a great verse. Travis Scott gives a great verse. You know, just great stuff.
That is a good one. That's like kind of an unexpected one.
I'm trying. So I feel like each one I chose has its own different characteristic. So that's kind of what I went for the first 3. We'll see which one I think, you know, which characteristics it brings out when I start talking about it. I haven't thought about it too much, but you know, I chose the track.
Yeah. So. With my next one here, I'm going with Blessings Reprise by Chance the Rapper off Coloring Book. I think this is a great one. I love it. You know, Blessings is the track early in the album, and then you get Blessings Reprise, which is a much more kind of just like let it breathe, like close the album again, kind of, I guess, let you think for a little bit, you know, like you get Chance doing the verse, and he's got some great wordplay here. Kanye's best prodigy. He ain't signed me, but he proud of me. Like I love lines like that.
Fucking Kanye fucking Wyoming
yelling at him. Yeah, but it's just great, and it really just ties everything together sonically. Like that, was Chance's like gospel rap album. You got Kirk Franklin on it. You got How Great. You got all these songs that really do have that gospel kind of vibe. And so closing it with a song like this is amazing. I love just they're saying, "Are you ready for your blessings? Are you ready for your miracle?" for like minutes, but it just sounds so great. You get Anderson .Paak with like background vocals. Like I just love little details like that. And then I saw the closure with the "Are you ready, big fella?" Which the Haha Davis had been featured throughout the project. So I think that one's cool. It was actually featured in my high school graduation video, like my little slideshow pictures. Like so, again, I'm always gonna have a special bias for it, but it's a great track. Great way to close the project.
All right. So for my next pick here, we got another Till track. For your guess. I'll give you a guess.
Till.
First letter is or first word is Till.
I have no idea.
Till the end, Logic.
Oh,
this is
that's a really good pick.
This is okay. So this one doesn't. I feel like it have its own defining characteristic, but this is like it really reminds me of "Last Call" by Kanye.
That's exactly what I was gonna say when you brought it up. That's a good pick. Okay.
So, and then even to go to like the lyrics, so in the track, this is the last verse and we'll make it count. So this is the last verse of the album as well. So like I never really like looked into it deeper than just last verse of the song, but it's the last verse of the album as well. Logic is just fucking spitting. One of his best tracks. Under Pressure, I mean his best album, Argue with the Wall. I don't know if anyone's arguing with that, but Argue with the Wall if so. But it's another one that perfectly encapsulates the album, and then it has the defining characteristics with some of the lyrics in there and stuff like that. So I mean, just a great one by Logic. I miss this Logic, man. Yeah, BG will love this one. Me and BG fucking love this track.
I know you two got that one, so we're about to kick it with him later, so we're gonna have to talk about that. But that's a great pick. Logic, shout out to Logic. That's a good one. Another sneaky Logic one. I wouldn't pick it, but African Aryan off Everybody. We get the Secret J. Cole feature at the end. That was a great first listen outro. I don't know if it like stands the test of time to be featured here, but a very good one. I like that pick. Till the end, it is definitely one of his best verses. So it's a great pick. With my next one, I'm going Rhinestone Cowboy off Madvillainy, MF Doom, Madlib. I think this is a great one for a new reason, which is cohesive. I guess kind of same as Chance, but in a different way. Chance was more about like what they were talking about and like the religious kind of vibe. This is because like the samples, you get all the different old comic TV shows, superhero samples and all that throughout the project. And so just kind of MF Doom doing his verse, going crazy. So many just crazy rhymes, which I'm go over my head. So I'm sure like I'm not the only one that feels that, like, but just the way he uses words is great, even though if I don't even like understand what he's saying sometimes. It's amazing. Great way to close the project. You get the cartoon sample there closing it up, talking about villains and just kind of like what they represent, which really just ties the album together so well. And I think it's unique to have like a sample close out the album. And that's what Brockhampton did on the Family or TM, one of the Family for sure, which I thought was interesting. I kind of like a sample to tie it up together. One time I said I don't like when another person is the last person you hear on a project. I think a sample is an exception to that, and I think there are definitely songs that are exceptions to that, but generally I think that's my personal rule of thumb.
Well, fuck James Blake for finishing out till further notice.
I said there's exceptions.
Moving on to my last pick here, another 2022 album. We got I Pray for You. Labrinth.
That is a good one.
Like that is such an odd combination. This was Labrinth was at their peak, off that Euphoria run. And it's just a really fucking good song. It's another one. I feel like it's hard to encapsulate everything you just heard. Left my elbow in the pot, all Vince Carter. Just tough ass coke bars. But I feel like this is a perfect ending to a Pusha T album. Finally getting Malice, no matter whatever we're calling it nowadays, back on an album. So he didn't have him on Daytona, which is probably his best project. We got him on It's Almost Dry. So just like a really good ending. I feel like anytime you have a Clipse reunion, that's a great ending. And that it just wouldn't work as like a first track.
No, it's the perfect close to the album. That's a good pick. I hope we'll get a project from them. You know, in the hiatus of the pod, we might get that project.
Yeah, hopefully I'm out of boot camp.
Yeah, hopefully we get to talk about it. My goal is we'll at least be back by albums of the year.
Okay.
If we don't do anything before December, I think we have to lock in for albums of the year. Like that just feels right. Like we can't not do that. Like that's our favorite month. So
my birthday month.
Exactly.
So Jesus' birthday month. So
exactly. A lot of big birthdays. Let's get to my last pick here. I got 16 by Baby Keem.
That's great.
I think this is a good one. I think this is the best standalone song of my 5. Mm-hmm. I think this is one of the best songs on the project. Obviously, there's a couple that are very, very near and dear to us, Family Ties, Range Brothers, so on. But 16 is like widely accepted as probably one of Baby Keem's best songs. And I think, again, it's just sonically such a good way to tie out the album. You kind of let the beat ride a little bit at the end to, you know, again, another introspective type outro, which I think that's probably like my favorite mark of an outro is like the introspective kind of look at everything going on and what's coming next.
Yeah.
And you get that here.
So, I mean, the Melodic Blues, obviously now it's another album, goes a lot of different directions, but like this is like a perfect close. You're mellowed out, like you said there. So yeah, it's a good pick. That's probably the best video I've ever gotten at a concert is Baby. That's that your crowd's not jumping, bro. It's right there. Fucking had the iPhone pro camera going to work. So
oh my God, mine was going crazy this week. Let's tell that story. I went to Nashville this week for work, and it was a music business conference. So there's a lot of different like events happening every night, and Universal Music Group had an event one night, and I was there, and there was performances, and you know I didn't know who's performing, so I'm just there, and it's their artists of rosters. So we're like, okay, you know they got good people signed. It's Nashville, so it's gonna be country. Okay, cool. So a bunch of artists performed, probably like 5, and then it's time for the last person of the night. Every person they're given like a little like intro to who they are, and then welcoming them out. And finally they're like, I don't need this because I need to talk about who he is. Like we're just trying to get the numbers right. And they're talking about how many albums he sold and Grammys and CMAs and whatever. Yeah. Keith Urban comes walking out.
That's so fire.
And I just had the iPhone Pro Max cinematic camera on it. It was beautiful.
You see what happened. Yeah.
You set the blueprint for that, but that was great. I was in like the 3rd row, just like 10 feet away from him. It was hilarious because no offense to him, I truly don't know a Keith Urban song. He played for 40 minutes, nothing he played sounded familiar to me, really.
But it hit.
But it was good. He was very good. He was great live. He was playing the guitar. He was like doing some like almost like beatboxing country style, like punching the mic but playing the guitar. It was kind of cool. So shout out to Keith Urban and the cinematic video I got of him.
Yeah, that's fire. But shit, I guess we better do a proper outro that wraps this up. We'll be back next week. Are we announcing what the it is or
no?
Okay,
we're saving it for next week.
All right, when y'all look at the title.
I will say though, if next week is our outro, it'll be a good ass outro. Oh, that would have been a good pick too by chance. I don't kind of slip my mind. One final honorable mention. But yeah, it's gonna be a great episode next week. It's really gonna.
We'll save all the emotion for that.
We're good. I might cry. So if you are gonna tune in next week, YouTube is probably the best move for that. But it's gonna be a great one to tie together the first iteration of the podcast. It's been a great ride. We'll get into all that next week. But appreciate you guys for tuning in this week. Have a